Well, hello there, everybody. Happy Monday, and no, your camera or your TV screen, whatever it is not broken. I am Travis Berardi here. Brian Skoronsky and Garrett Parlett are on an assignment, so you're stuck with just the three of us. Like I said, I'm Travis Berardi alongside the string bean, Hayden Gray. Hayden, how are you doing? I heard you were sick. Hopefully you're getting better today.
Yeah, I'm doing a bit better today, so, yeah, the sun's out. It's warm. What can I say? A little nature's remedy, so we're feeling good.
And then to even out the weight distribution, we have Storm Blunchley. Storm, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Just hanging out, enjoying the warm weather. Excited for another great week of baseball and softball. I'm actually going to get to cover softball this week, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And some baseball in there, so it's going to be a fun week, for sure.
That's one of the topics we will talk about, that as well as the weather. You can call us Jim Cantori today because we have a couple topics about the weather. But I was talking to Garrett and Brian as I was driving them down to Columbus and didn't realize until yesterday that the NFL draft's this weekend. How about that? I guess you guys should be excited about that. Hayden, you and I, we have our Steelers. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe going quarterback or whatever. And then, I don't know, you probably pick anybody in your first round pick with the Lions, right?
We'll take anyone.
Yeah.
I heard there were rumors we were going to take a quarterback late, but I don't know.
Maybe trade up?
I don't know. Jared Goff isn't the guy, though. He's not that guy.
Well, we've all known that. Anyway, let's start off with the weekend that was. It was a beautiful weekend. Temperatures in the 80s, sunny weather. And I just want to know, what did you guys do? First real weekend we were able to get outside. I know I sat on the porch most of the weekend and enjoyed it, but what did you do, Hayden?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it could have possibly been the worst weekend to feel ill in any way, but I didn't let that get me down. Friday, I was out covering baseball, and it was the first, one of the first spring sports games. It's been about 50 degrees, so I enjoyed that. And then even though I did feel a little bit under the weather, I saw that sun outside, and you know what? It was calling me to get out there, so took the dog outside, spent some time out there, and not too much that the weather like this can't fix, especially when we've had, I saw 280 days it has been since it's been 80 degrees in this state. So,
Wow.
So yeah, that's always uplifting.
It's about as long as it's been since Ben Simmons has played.
How about that? I mean, he's going to play in Game 4 and then they lose Game 3. Nah, I'm not going to do it.
He gives up on all of his teammates. He gave up in LSU. He gave up in Philly, and now he's giving up in Brooklyn. It's the same thing. It's going to be interesting when it's time to negotiate his contract because he's not playing for the rest of this season. So,
well, other than being absolutely baffled at Ben Simmons, what did you do over the weekend, Storm?
Unfortunately, I spent a lot of my weekend spring cleaning.
Ooh, how
we're
about
getting
that?
new furniture in our living room, so you know how moving couches goes. It's always a ton of fun, and we had a bunch of stuff that was collecting dust in the attic that we threw on the curb, and it was just not great. But, we got to be outside for a little bit. We got to, throw a bunch of junk away. So the house is a lot cleaner, and there's a lot less. We're going to get some new stuff in there, and so.
Well, for anybody out there that's in need of a couch or some chairs or anything, just stop by the Blunchley residence. It's probably out on the curb. Jory, do we need any more furniture here at the OH.Report headquarters?
I can just bring him in. Yeah, I'll just bring him in.
Just bring him in. All right. Well, I really enjoyed the weekend. On Saturday, I went out and covered Ashland-Madison softball in the sun. Ashland with a big victory over the Lady Rams that remain unbeaten in the OCC. Hey, they got a chance. Last series in the OCC for Ashland's against Mount Vernon. That could be for an OCC championship. But I hung out there, got back home after editing, went out to eat with Brian, and then just sat on my porch. It was a very nice day. And then yesterday, like I said, I drove G-Man and Brian down to Columbus. And then on the way back, have you ever just wanted to take the back road and drive home, with windows down, music up? That's what I did. I enjoyed it, too. Added about a half hour onto my trip, but it was just nice and peaceful. You got the windows down, the arm out the window, driving down there. Got home, sat on the porch again, listened to some music, Like I said, I played a little Fortnite on the Switch because
outside.
I haven't played. I haven't been on the Switch in quite a while. I also have the emulator for the Super Nintendo, so I was playing a little old school Mario Kart.
Nintendo catch you saying that it's illegal.
Yeah,
you're gonna get OH.Report taken.
We can just scrub that last part off. Yeah.
Anyway, all right, back to sports. We got the weather out of the way for now, but NBA playoffs, first round. I've thoroughly enjoyed the games so far.
It's been awesome.
I mean, also shout out to G-Man. Brian and G-Man are going to be in Chicago for Game 5.
Oh, that's very
So
true.
they're going to be out and partying for that. That's going to be quite the
fun.
scene for G-Man. I hope he has a good time. Hopefully they
Yeah,
get a
hopefully.
win, keep it going. But let's go to some awards. This is your category, so I'll let you lead it, Storm.
Yeah, so basically I posed the question of what was the bigger snub, Mobley and Cade Cunningham for Rookie of the Year or Poole for Most Improved Player. And I'll start us off. I definitely think it's Jordan Poole. The guy's been balling out. He was balling out last season, too, when Steph Curry was gone for most of the season with the injury. But this year, he's just been on another level. And I know they don't take the playoffs into account for these awards, but the dude has been performing at just an elite level. And when you get into the company of getting a nickname with guys like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, you know you're legit. And I guess the thing that I question most is the fact that Ja Morant was one of the finalists. Like,
Yeah, why?
He had MVP votes
Right,
last season.
I
I'm
feel like
pretty
he was
sure.
already established.
Yeah, like that.
How can you
that's an
be more
established guy.
improved from getting votes from the MVP?
Yeah, so I don't know. That was the biggest thing, and that really hurts my heart to say because I'm kind of torn here. Jordan Poole was a Michigan guy. Cade Cunningham's a Piston. So I was kind of split on what I thought about this one, but I really think Poole got snubbed out of that award.
Hayden, you agree?
I do. I will say that I do feel Mobley is deserving of Rookie of the Year, but if I have to think about who got snubbed the largest, I agree. It's Poole, and I think that I got brought onto the scene by seeing what he's been doing from your talking in the last few weeks, Storm, and just getting to see a chance. Like you said, they don't bring the playoffs into account for it, but like you said, I mean, his first 3 starts averaging over 20 points on one of the most loaded offenses already in the league. And like you said, too, when you're up there getting accounted for with a nickname with the Splash Brothers, he's been so humble about it, too.
I know.
He really has said, he doesn't feel like he's arrived quite to that point yet, and he doesn't want to make any changes with the starting lineup. So he's a very humble guy as well. Pains me to say, since he's a former Wolverine, but there's not too much, and a Warrior. So, I mean, it's tough, but there's really not too much you can't like about the guy and his production, and it's safe to say that, I don't know, Golden State has another gem that they're going to want to hold on to for the long run, and I think he's definitely at least put himself as the front runner for next year.
Yeah, I agree. So, I love watching the NBA on TNT.
Oh, me
guys.
too. I love that.
That's
yeah.
the best thing
Oh,
about
yeah.
the playoffs. Shaq and Charles going back and forth. But
yeah.
after their coverage, I believe on Monday and Tuesday, Kenny the Jet Smith, who's on Inside the NBA, he helped produce. I believe the name was The Pathway, and it was the year of the bubble when the G League just started, where high school top high school players could, instead of going to college, elect to go to the G League. So it's about following the path of those 4 players that were on the high school G League team against the other G League opponents from the other NBA squads in the bubble. And one of the first games that they played were against Golden State's G League. And who was on that team? Jordan Poole. And just to think, hey, not even 2 years later, and look what he is doing in the playoffs. He is changing the series for the Golden State Warriors. That's hands down the pick. He should have been most improved player.
And I think that people will see that more so come to fruition later in the playoffs. Not so much now because the Nuggets are horrible.
Yeah.
But that's only because they don't have Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. That's a topic for a different day. But as they have to play a team like the Suns or one of those other stacked Western Conference teams, that's when Jordan Poole's presence will really be felt when the best defender is going to be on Steph Curry, and then the second best defender will be on Klay Thompson. It'll be more the scoring load will fall onto Jordan Poole, and I think that's when people will really start to appreciate how great he has been.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, if he can continue to do this, that really boosts just the offensive profile of the Warriors. And how about some of the big players, Steph and Klay, in his interviews after the game, just giving him the love as well. Like, he deserves this. He's worked his rear off to do this, and the whole team's getting behind him. And I think it's just a great story in the NBA.
The Warriors are the most fun team to watch in basketball.
And we hate to say
my
that,
gosh.
too, don't we? Here
I
at
don't.
Cleveland?
I
well, yeah, I know you do.
They
But the
never did
Cleveland
anything
fans
to
are
my
probably
team.
cringing now. Like, why are you doing that, man? They've done it
Right.
well.
But I think personally that they're one of the most fun teams to watch. Just the way they play, you can tell that they're all friends out off the court and whatnot, and they're all super tight with each other. Just it is so much fun to watch.
Yeah, the playoffs are fun to watch. So, like I've said all year, I'm not a big NBA fan, but once the playoffs come around, those games are exciting.
Yeah, big night tonight. Chance for Adams Celtics to go ahead
Sweet.
and eliminate
Get
the
the
Nets.
brooms out.
And that is a whole nother topic that we won't
With the Nets,
get into
with
today.
one
but-
player not even going to try and get on the court.
Yeah,
as
true.
well.
Yeah, we touched on that.
How about that, Adam? You got to be. He's been so humble with us. Last week or a week and a half ago, we said, "Hey, the Cavs are probably going to sweep the Celtics, and the Celtics probably not going to make it past the Nets." They're about to sweep the Nets. I mean, good for you, Adam. I'm happy for you, man.
Happy for you, Adam.
And also, good luck to the Bulls tonight. I just, for G.
Agreed.
Moving on to the local scene and high school baseball. They were able to play a couple games over the weekend as well. And I was just looking, we're a three-fourths of the way through the season, but record-wise, only halfway through because of all the cancellations. We'll get to that in a little bit. But for baseball, there are some squads that have turned some heads this year in the games that they have played. So my question for you, which high school baseball squad has got your attention, has turned your head? I'm going to start with you, Hayden.
Yeah, so like you said, it's been such a difficult year, and we were just talking before this to really, truly wrap our heads around who we have seen as one of the best teams just because of the way the schedules have gone and who you have played with the games that you've been able to play. So one team that I believe it was you, Storm, that actually just covered recently was Pleasant, and they've actually kind of caught my eye. I haven't personally covered them, but one thing I do know is that the MOAC's really competitive this year. There's about 4 teams all competing for it, and Pleasant finds themselves in second place right now at 8-3. They just took down Clear Fork, who is on an unfortunate losing streak as of late. I think they've dropped like the last 5 games. But then you take a look, I mean, every statistical category in the MOAC, it's basically full of Highland and Scots and Pleasant Spartans. I mean, Max Kellogg, he's batting .786. Now that is with only 14 at-bats. So he's gone 11 of 14. So
But still, it's great. If you need him in a pinch hit situation, he's the guy to be.
Right. And again, you've got in the slugging percentage, you got 2 Spartans. They're also leading. They got a guy that's leading in stolen bases. He got 14. So they've caught my eye just because they've been taking down teams in a competitive conference because, they're always going to prioritize those conference games over rescheduling non-conference. So I'm impressed because I know the MOAC's competitive. So yeah, I'll continue to keep my eye on them, see how they can compete with Highland to see who's going to edge each other out for the top of that MOAC race. And you know what? I didn't know how I felt about talking about it, but we talked about it before the show. One team that maybe has just had some misfortune because of who they've had to play with the games they have is Lexington, who I just had a chance to see on Friday. They took down Shelby. Now, they're only 2-8, but again, if Cole Poly's pitching, I don't know who's going to beat them. They looked really, really darn impressive. So
That's something you have to look at as well, especially once you get the district, regional, sectional district, regional, state play. You only need 2 pitchers. If you have 2 pitchers that can get you 6-7 innings, you're going to be fine. That's what Clear Fork, the 2 years they went to the state Final Four, what was it, 16 and 17? Yeah. It's because they had 2 really good pitchers and they had some guys that could, score some runs. So if you're peaking at the right time, you have Cole Pauly and then a number 2 pitcher that can maybe start a semifinal in the sectional, district, and regional level, and have Pauly pitch in those championship games, you're going to have a chance. It's just about peaking at the right time and what pitching staff that you have. So, some of these squads, I was talking to you guys about Madison softball. They're 5-5 right now, but they're 5 losses. 2 to Mount Vernon, Division I, right there at the top of the OCC. Ashland, Division I again, one of the best teams, have a chance of making a regional this year. They're 2 losses. They're Division I, and then their 5th one, last year's Division II state runner-up, who's brought everybody back and has the best sophomore pitcher in the state of Ohio. So with all the delay, the cancellations, the postponements, it's really deceiving right now at some of these records with these teams, and you never know, they could turn some heads as we go on. But I know you're going to stick with the MOAC in your choice, Storm.
Yeah, I first just want to touch on what you said, that the pitching I feel like this year has been phenomenal. I just watched Abel versus Madison, or not Madison, Lucas, and I think he had like 10 strikeouts.
From Hillsdale?
Yeah, that's like the second or third 10 strikeout game I've seen this year. So the pitching I feel like is just different this year. But I'm going to go with Highland. Good choice. They just moved to the MOAC. They're returning a lot of key players from last year. They were regional runners up. And when you have a squad like that and then you bring them all back, they already have that tournament experience and they already know what their goal is. They know what their ceiling is. They know what their floor is. And and they've been proving it throughout the season. In the MOAC standings for stats, they have a bunch of guys in the top 5, a lot of guys in the top 3 as well. So this Highland team is going to be super scary for any team who has to face them.
Yeah, and like first year in the MOAC with all these stacked squads, and they only have 2 losses. They're at the top of the MOAC at the midway point of their schedule, bringing everybody back, and then they're in that Central District, so they have a really solid shot at making another district championship run, possibly, and make another regional. I just hope it's not all the way down in darn Cincinnati again like we did last year. That was just a nightmare scenario. But good for the Highland Fighting Scots once again. My choice, I'm going over to the Northern 10. 2 teams that really turned my head. They're really going to get my attention, the winner of this series this week. Upper Sandusky or Buckeye Central. Both of these teams finished under 500 last season, towards the bottom of the Northern 10 standings. And this year, they're right towards the top. I believe both teams have 10 wins as well. Upper Sandusky, 2 of their losses, they ended up being split. So they split with Winford, who's state-ranked right now, top of the conference standings. And then Seneca East as well, they split with them. So, they get that 1 loss, but they bounce back. A really good team. They're only 1 game back. And then also, like I said, Buckeye Central, too. They've bounced back after a couple down years, and they are really showing off. So I think the winner of that one is really going to have a good chance of doing something this season. Haven't been able to cover them, so there's no B-roll of them yet. But, hey, maybe this week we'll be able to get out there if the weather cooperates. And speaking of weather, let's move to this one. I said at the beginning of the week, I hope Mother Nature steps on a Lego barefoot because that was I'm just so frustrated that we haven't been able to come out and get more of these games covered. But we've had a quarter, I think, of the games this season postponed or canceled due to rain. And my question is there anything that they can do to change that? Maybe you have a rain overnight, but you could still get the game in. And I know we talk about maybe turf or, coverings or something else, but I want to get your opinions on what can be done to maybe slow down these cancellations. I'll start with you, Storm.
I got one thing. And that's build an indoor facility. No, I'm just playing.
The OH.Report Dome, where everybody can play, right?
Yeah.
Brian, if you're listening, let's get that on the books here down the line.
But I think this the biggest thing that these schools can do, and I know it's a lot easier said than done, but just turf fields, just so you don't have to deal with the sand or dirt or whatever getting wet and then things like that. I get why they cancel these games, but if you had turf. It would just be a lot smoother. Things would go a lot easier. You wouldn't have to cancel as much. You would have to play in a little bit worse conditions, though. But so here's my question: like at Hillsdale, it's not turf all the way out to the outfield.
Well, that's something. The outfield usually drains a little bit better because it's grass.
Gotcha.
And grass absorbs the water a little bit more than just having it dirt and ponding. So you can play.
Right.
I mean, if you start seeing puddling in the outfield after a torrential downpour, you're probably not going to be able to play until it drains. But you're seeing also with Northmore, they have that complete infield turf, but then the outfield is some grass. If you have good drainage in your outfield, it doesn't pond or anything like that. You could still play.
Gotcha. That was this. I thought that was really weird when I was going out to do my interview. I was like, oh my gosh, this is grass out here. This is not turf. I thought the whole thing was turf, but I also think that they just look a lot nicer. That new field over at Hillsdale is pristine.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good with that, but I know some people. The bounces are different off of that.
The ball's
it's
a lot
like
bouncier.
Bouncing it off like a bed or something like that compared to something you do with dirt. So I know some teams like to keep dirt infields and things like that. But Hayden, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with the thoughts on turf. Now, I know that I'm sure Blade Tackett over at Northmore, the AD over at Hillsdale would agree. It's still not cheap.
No.
But if you don't have to turf the entire field, like we were saying, it is at least a bit more realistic or affordable to just do the infield, which is primarily the reason why most of these get canceled. Because I think the reality is we don't have a lot of schools around here that have phenomenal drainage just because of where they are in the outfield. So while I haven't been out to see these turf fields yet, I think that has allowed these teams to play a few more. I think the only reason they haven't been able to is either A, it's storming during the time, or B, it's Ohio.
Degrees.
We've had some snow too. So turf, I think, is the most realistic. A dream, Storm, you alluded to at the beginning. There's no real solution here other than a dome. It's Ohio. It just, I don't know. We can't
You could like do it all like the Oakland Raiders used to do, and build it so you can use a baseball field and the football field. Then you have to just build one dome. And
there you go.
Solves all your problems.
I've seen there's some college baseball games that have been played in the Vikings stadium, new stadium
Like
as well.
baseball games?
Yeah,
That's
baseball
crazy.
games in
Yeah.
Minneapolis.
So yeah,
Multi-purpose fields.
I don't know if we could find some really large circus tents on like some discount deals for some of these schools. I mean, but yeah, I know it's not realistic.
Pop-ups.
But yeah, it's been tough, and I give my condolences to all these coaches and athletic directors. I mean, this season has been a nightmare. So props to them for still doing what they do, and making sure these kids get to play still.
Well, also hurts some of these teams. Some of these teams that have high expectations. You play 1 or 2 games, you can't get into a rhythm, and you might be 3-6 or so. You might lose some games you're not supposed to just because you haven't been out on the field that much. But my idea, one, turf fields like at Northmore, they're able to play their games. However, some of these games still got postponed because of the cold.
Yeah.
For your bats and stuff. If it gets down under 40 degrees and you hit with the bat, it breaks. So you're losing equipment costs on that. But other than that, you can have a rain 2 hours before a game and still play on these nice Mommy Bay turf fields. Shout out to them. But Northmore's probably had the most games played in North Central Ohio this year because of that. And another thing, if you like to keep your grass in fields like at Lexington, you know, they love the grass turf on their football and baseball, softball fields. How about we invest in a tarp, an infield tarp? Yeah. I know they do at Madison. They have that. But you know, if you want to play your games, just have your players after practice the willingness to put the tarp down, and that might help out. You won't be able to get as much pondage on your infields, things like that, and you never know. So if anybody wants to chip in for some tarps for some of the teams around here, that might help out.
Maybe we could sponsor a tarp.
Big old OH.Report logo
tarp.
Like they do on the Major League teams. They have their logos and stuff. Put a big old.
We won't come put it on for
That's
you.
our next
every day,
thing, tarps.
but,
How long is it going to take to like
Screen
sew a
press a
tarp
tarp.
together, Jory? You know, you get that.
Oh yeah, we might have to like paint it.
But I just hope the weather starts getting better. I know I'm going to be at Clear Fork tonight, hopefully, and I hope the rain holds off because it'd be nice to get 3 or 4 straight days of baseball. I know Cardington and I think Centerburg played yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, why
yeah,
not?
It seems something they've had to.
Yeah. Also, anybody watching, give us some comments on Facebook. I have the Facebook feed pulled up. I'll give you a shout out if you have any questions or any comments. A couple of you watching right now, or if Brian and G-Man are on their break right now from what they are doing. Hey, hi guys. Nice to see you. All right. Moving on. Actually, we do have a comment. Just have to say I agree with the dome. Ohio's weather is crazy, but inside a dome, you can't really hit a home run unless it's you hit the roof or it's a line. That's why the Circus 10 idea may be a little bit off because a couple pop-ups are probably going to put holes in the roof, and then you have to pay for the tent yourself instead of renting it. But let's see. Ether Real High. I don't know that YouTube. I can't. Ethereal Hey, yeah. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. It's a little tough to read, but thank you for the comment there. Yeah, you're going to have a dome. If you want to play, you're going to have something that's really high ceiling. So, you know, might be better just to invest in some turf than build a dome. It's probably
Or a
or a tarp, yeah, something like that. Moving on to our final topic, and this one from Storm, a little bit controversial here in North Central Ohio, but why not? Did LeBron ruin his overall legacy playing in LA? Storm, what got you thinking of this and LeBron once again?
Well, what got me thinking about it is just a lot of people talk about LA even though they're not in the playoffs. It's a big market team. It's going to happen no matter what. And I don't know. I was a big LeBron hater, and now I appreciate his greatness. I personally think he put up MVP number seasons this year.
Didn't he almost lead the league in scoring?
He did. If he would have played his last 2 games, I think, he would have been eligible for the scoring title.
Instead, he went to Cancun.
Instead, he went to Cancun. But
I mean, I want to be in Cancun, but hey.
yeah, that's true. But in my opinion, did LeBron ruin his overall legacy in LA? I'm going to say, if he leaves again, because he played the GM like he's done his whole career pretty much, and he built this team. For them to not make the playoffs and be so many games under 500, that is blasphemous. And I think the thing that upsets me the most is that we've seen him play through injuries. It kind of seems like this year at the end, everyone on that team just kind of gave up. And it all goes back to when they traded for Anthony Davis. They were trading for a guy who they weren't really he was still injured.
How much did LeBron have in saying to get that trade, though?
Dude, I think he had a lot. I think if you're a GM,
it seems like everywhere he goes, he becomes the GM.
Yeah, the GM. If LeBron wants someone, they'll get him. That's why they have Russell Westbrook and not DeMar DeRozan. So I think that this is a really, really bad look for him, especially if he leaves, if he abandons this project that he started. And yeah, they did win a championship, but I don't know.
In the bubble.
I'm also of the opinion that bubble ring doesn't really count. But
it's like the Astros World Championship, the asterisk.
Always be an asterisk there. So, did LeBron ruin his overall legacy? I think yes. Hayden?
I said from a statistical lens or standpoint, I don't think so. I think that what we just talked about, how he put up incredible numbers at an age where most people are either retired by in this league or not doing what he does. I mean, he's a superhuman, but I think from a statistical standpoint, no, he's continued to climb up naturally the ladders towards scoring leader, assists, rebounds, all of those. And like we said, almost was eligible for the scoring title. And if there weren't people named Jokic and all these young guys, could have been an MVP again. But he's won that enough. So statistically, I don't think no. But I do kind of agree with your point of it gets tough because we kind of grew up in a time where the NBA, you all had, like, super teams weren't around yet, and we could go really far into that, but you're not used to seeing people move teams as much. And so, you didn't ever envision a world where LeBron would leave Cleveland, then he heads to Miami, and then he leaves from there to LA. And sometimes, I don't know, I feel like you begin to diminish a little bit of your resume when you continue to go from place to place, but I don't know. I don't totally foresee. I think it would take a bit of a hit from people like the media, from people that will talk about this a lot more. I mean, he's always going to have a special place in my heart. So his legacy for me is cemented. But yeah, I mean, it certainly is disappointing to see what is going on with the team that they assembled. I don't think that they have good chemistry together. So I don't know if they can stay together and really finish what they started.
Wait, who?
Just I don't feel like they blend well with Westbrook.
You talking about LeBron?
Yeah, just what they have established. I don't feel like they blend well.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the chemistry's there.
And that's the thing too. But it's like, what are they going to do?
Right.
Are you going to trade LeBron?
Right.
Like, have fun with that.
How many draft picks you going to get from that?
Yeah. Or are you going to trade Westbrook, who just had one of the worst seasons he's ever had? Like, I don't know what they move on from.
Right.
That's the thing. So
I guess I will just add, though, before we move on, the Nets could potentially get swept tonight with arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, backcourt of all time with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. I would say that would put a hit on Kevin Durant's legacy overall this year. That's just because I don't like Kevin Durant.
And I'm rooting for it. Yeah, I just said that. Going to me, I think LeBron, the only legacy he has left is in Cleveland. I think his Cleveland legacy is the only thing he has left, especially if, say, he comes back and doesn't GM and kick half the players out because they have a really good core right now with everybody. But if he comes back and just helps them win a championship, it's forever cemented as the greatest Cleveland Cavalier and that legacy there. But his overall legacy, you got to go back, and this is probably going to stir up some things, but comparing him to Jordan, how many teams did Jordan play for in a 15-year span? He didn't, when things were down, I mean, they still won their championships, but he didn't move on to a super team in Miami or a super team in LA. He stayed with one squad. You can't say that with the players and these players nowadays, except for one guy, and that's Steph Curry.
Oh my gosh!
You got to think. I think you got to think about
him and Clay.
The championships that he's won, the finals that he's made, and he's stuck in Golden State. Even though after a couple down years, he's still with the Golden State Warriors. And if he completes his career in Golden State, doesn't move on to anybody else, I mean, you got to have to say he's legit one of the best to play the game, just legacy-wise as well in Golden State. But I think LeBron, like I said, the outside NBA fan in me would have liked to see him stick to maybe one or two teams and not seven.
I thought when he came back to Cleveland, I thought that was going to be it. I thought that would be where he would retire. And they probably would have won a championship, another one, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But
Adam just said sometimes players don't get to decide their destination or path. LeBron does, though.
When you're the greatest player on earth, you kind of get to decide.
But I understand your comment on that as well, Adam. But I mean, like Larry Bird, He stayed with the Celtics back then. Magic Johnson. It's a different time. I want to see if these younger players, John Morant, DeRozan, Cade Cunningham. I want to see if they actually go back to staying, long term with the squad, or it's just going to continue.
Or
we're never going to see these great players stay with one team or maybe two. I mean, look,
someone like
Jordan
Giannis
came back and finished with
the
Charlotte,
Wizards,
with the Wizards, but I mean, you can't really say that. But are we ever going to see a really good player, stick with one team or maybe just two?
And I think a big part of that is the market you get drafted into, because Zion Williamson will never play another game for New Orleans. I'm saying that right now. But Cade Cunningham, he seems like a totally different type of person. Like, I feel like he wants to be in Detroit.
Like John Morant, he seems pretty happy being in Memphis.
Yeah. But then there are some of these younger guys who want to be, in the New Yorks, the LAs, things like that. They want to play for the bigger market teams. They don't care as much about basketball.
Or maybe they go there, but they stay there.
Yeah.
Instead of jumping around from team to team, Durant going from OKC to Golden State, now to the Nets, because you're ring chasing instead of trying to build a squad around you.
Never won a ring without
you might
Steph
take
Curry.
you might take a couple bad years, but you're going to build around through the draft and get some good players to work with that way. I respect the old school way of building around a player that way, and the player not getting too overconfident, saying, "Well, I'm just going to go ring chasing with the super
that's
team."
honestly someone that in today's game that reminds me of that is Giannis. I mean, in my head, I don't consider Milwaukee a big market.
Yeah,
no, not at all.
And he obviously isn't single-handedly carrying them, but he's one of those guys that you could see, before now, you could have seen him like he's a stud. You could have seen him going and you wouldn't have cared. But he's staying and he's continually allowing them to be great.
And you remember when he was in his contract year 2 and everyone was talking about how he was going to leave, and he came out and made a big public statement about how he wanted to stay in Milwaukee?
Yeah.
That was, I don't know, that gave me some mad respect for Giannis. Like, I already had a lot of respect for him, but that gave me a lot more, that he is willing to stick it out when things may not be the greatest. And look what he did. We had one of the most fun finals that I can ever remember watching, and he got a championship when he dropped 50. So that was awesome.
You should see the comments Adam's putting on my computer right now about this. He's fired up about it. But I will go one more comment with him. Shaq played for like 20 teams. Is his legacy ruined?
No, because I think Shaq was a different guy. Shaq was more...
Played for the Cavaliers.
Shaq was...
He did play for the Cavaliers, but
Shaq was a really, really, really good player. But I honestly think that he was more of a businessman. He cared more about the social side of things, not so much the basketball sides of things. And that's why you see him around so much, and that's why he's such a good business person. So,
heck of a DJ, too.
Yeah. So I think it also deals with their personality. LeBron has always been, I feel like, more about winning, more about basketball, the basketball side of things. And Shaq was kind of different. He was more so, the conversation is, as Travis, I think, is going to put a final bow on this one.
Also, Dave on YouTube, going back to the weather thing, he said field should have great drainage like Augusta National. Hello, friends.
Oh my God.
Augusta.
Hey, that's if you go to the grass is on, completely pristine down there. But I wish Adam had a microphone back there so he could comment in, but he never wants to get on. This would have been a perfect time for you, Adam, to get on here, and unless you want to walk up here and get off your grievances about this situation. LeBron's a good player. He's a great player, but his legacy. He's one of the best of all time.
He sauced the Celtics.
But why? Why does he have to go to all these places?
On this, and then we'll be done. You said the only legacy he has left in Cleveland
is in Cleveland.
So you don't think even in Miami?
He's coming back.
I think he'll come back.
I think he's going to come back.
About if he thought he had a legacy in Miami still.
How many years was he in Miami?
4 or 5. And he won 2, right? Or did he win 3?
It was the super team. It was the super team too.
Two rings. He's 2 and 5.
He won 7, remember?
Oh, my bad.
According to him.
According to him, yeah.
But yeah, that was my last thing. Is I wanted to ask if you thought he had any legacy left in Miami.
I don't know. It's super. I just don't like the fact the super team's being built and all that stuff. Get off my lawn.
You heard it here first. He's coming back to Cleveland from.
I think it might be like a 10-day contract. One of those situations.
Bring him
but
to-
he'll be
Well, I
back.
think
See
also
you in
we were
2 years,
talking
Bronny.
when Bronny gets drafted. You think he just goes with Bronny?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think we're done.
Yeah, I think we're done too. I got a baseball game to go cover. Hopefully, enjoy the rest of your day before it gets cold again, and Mother Nature needs to step on another Lego. But that's it for me. We'll see you later. You'll see Brian next week. He'll be a lot better. We'll see you then.
Goodbye, friends.
Oh, that's a wrap.